With the release of Star Trek, the motion picture, the Director's Edition, in Ultra HD, I think it's about a high time Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, got a similar treatment. This is something Bill Shatner has been pushing for years, but Paramount just has shut him down each and every time. Why? Well, it makes sense if you look at it for its time period. It was a bomb both financially and critically, and it's widely considered by fans to be the worst of the Star Trek films. But in the age where the Snyder Cut can exist, and, with Paramount looking for everything and anything they can to milk the Star Trek franchise, why haven't they even considered doing a director's edition to Star Trek V? Now, I don't care what people say about this movie. I think this movie has so many good moments in it. So many good ideas, so many great aspects that unfortunately they just didn't gel in the final form of the movie. Now, I found out while doing research for this that Shatner was forced to a 1 hour, 45-minute runtime no matter what. It had to be 1 hour and 45 minutes. Which is an issue if your script is over 1 hour and 45 minutes long. So Shatner's cut of the movie apparently ran over 2 hours long, and Paramount's reasoning for cutting over 15 minutes of footage out of it is simply to get more viewings in the cinema. Ironic how that backfired. Now, I think this is the prominent reason Star Trek V failed, both then and now, despite many fans like me who don't dislike the movie whatsoever. My official stance on Star Trek V is that it is a flawed but a decent movie with some of my favorite character moments in the entire franchise. While I don't care for Scotty and Uhura's relationship, I do like the genuine friendship that you can see on their faces. I like McCoy messing with Spock's camping information because, of course, Spock would research how to properly camp before going out there. I love how Bones puts whiskey in the baked beans. I don't know. I just think that was very McCoy. I just adore Kirk's speech of dying alone. That as long as Bones and Spock was there, he'll be okay. I just really love that moment. In fact, the whole campfire sequence is some of my favorite Star Trek moments in the entire franchise. It's just full of great character stuff, like McCoy admitting that despite them annoying each other and spending all these years in space together, that the moment that they have shore leave, what do? They spend it together, of course. And I like how Spock and McCoy stay side by side with Kirk throughout the entire adventure. DeForest Kelley, in particular, gives one hell of a performance in this movie and really proves just how good of an actor he was. Hell, everyone does in this movie. Even Shatner has some really great and, subtle moments throughout the entire film. I love Kirk's line about needing pain and that living through pain is what makes us who we are. How that whole sequence is quite good and truly profound, which is what I think Star Trek is best at doing. I like Sybok as a character, and the actor truly gives one hell of a magnetic performance. I like how each member of the original crew gets a couple of moments to shine, and I think they do so in droves. Of course, I adore Jerry Goldsmith's score for the movie. It's a really cool hybrid of the motion picture style lavishness with the more action scores that we get within the TNG era of films. The cinematography by Andrew Laszlo is amazing. I love the use of the Steadicam and how it always adds movements to a sequence even if nothing is really happening. I like the adventure elements of the movie, where it starts off by a simple campfire, but it ends on a distant desert planet in the search for God. I even love how the movie ends with Kirk, Spock, and Bones sitting around the campfire singing, just to cap off just a really grand adventure with something small. There are so many good things I like about this movie, yet much of it just doesn't gel. And my guess is that missing 15 minutes of film is a big reason as to why. Now, I won't say it will fix the movie, and now it's suddenly a masterpiece. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that at all. Shatner's idea, I think, was always flawed, and I think the movie will always reflect that. But in the least, it will be a better movie than we have right now. I even like the Uhura dance, okay? There, I said it. I just think it's funny, okay? It's funny. In the least, fixed the damn special effects for this movie. My God, are they terrible, and I plan on tackling that a little bit later. Bill Shatner was signed on to be the director of the next Star Trek film after 4 Rep, and he was excited to direct. Needless to say, the production of this movie was hell. It was truly a plagued production almost from the get-go. Shatner's idea was admittedly a really interesting one, and I mean, I know people will say it's flawed, and I do kind of agree with them, but the topic is stuff made for Star Trek. Now, Shatner put it best in an interview he did on the making of the movie. He said, quote,
"It should be about Star Trek goes in search of God, finds the devil, and by extension, God exists."
Harve Bennett, the amazing man who revamped the Star Trek franchise after the motion picture, he just did not like this idea. And neither did Gene Roddenberry. Now, both men disagreed wildly in opinion, but the fact that they both came together on this, they agreed that Shatner's idea for the film was not dramatic. I totally disagree. What is more dramatic than the search for God and the understanding of our place in the universe? Other than where do we go when we die, I can't think of anything more dramatic. The version of the story we get is a compromise between Shatner's idea and the producers, and much credit needs to be given to writer David Lowery for doing a pretty good job. I know Shatner didn't really care for that version of the script, and he did some extra work on his own, but I do think David Lowery needs to get a lot of that credit. But the movie, as mentioned earlier, was plagued with production issues. Everything from near heat stroke to the drivers' union going on strike, resulting in a crew having to go non-union, which in itself resulted in someone blowing up one of their vehicles, by the way. Just goes to show you how serious these unions take their jobs. Nicholas Meyer was supposed to write the film, but he was busy on another project. Speaking of being busy, ILM usually did the Star Trek visual effects. They were having the busiest year of their lives, so they were unavailable. There was also a writer's strike, so you really couldn't hire a writer, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, much of these I can actually hand-wave, because, quite frankly, the cast and crew of the movie were professionals. They'd been doing this for years, and I think they did one hell of a job. Now, many seem to agree that Shatner was actually a decent director who had a lot of passion. While apparently prone to some emotional blow-ups on location shooting, apparently the on-the-set stuff when they moved inside actually went without a hitch. Even Nimoy gave Shatner a lot of credit as director. He had a vision, the passion, the drive to back it up, and he put all of that energy on screen the best he possibly could. What Shatner did not have control over were these re-edits mentioned earlier, and those damned special effects. So I guess now it's time to tackle the elephant in the room. In the least, Star Trek V Director's Edition would and should improve upon those dismal visual effects by Brian Farron, who I will call out. He said specifically that they could handle the workload, they could not. Though I do understand where a lot of Brian Farron's frustration came from, because apparently Shatner made several changes on the cuff, and they were working on opposite ends of the country. There was no Facebook yet. But out of all the footage cut and removed or just dropped due to lack of time, the biggest thing I would want the director's cut to tackle is the ending. Now, to be clear, we would not really be able to get the original ending Shatner intended, with either the Rockmen or the demons and angels flying around all over the place. It would have been truly interesting to see, but truth be told, that wasn't shot due to budget reasons. The rock monster sequence, as intended, really wasn't shot either, as they needed the suits to shoot it, and they cut it from, several Rockmen down to one Rockman, and quite frankly, you can see the footage for yourself. The suit looked bad. I mean, it just looks like a guy covered in rubber rocks. So Shatner had to basically come up with a new ending on the spot, which is insane if you think about the fact that this is a large-budgeted blockbuster. He and Brian Farron came up with the idea of the alien entity attacking him and chasing Kirk through the alien planet, but much of that was cut. This is due to Shatner hating the poor visual effects of that sequence. However, the footage was shot. It exists. It's in some vault deep in Paramount. So I'd love to see an updated version of this ending with more of what Shatner had in mind while shooting it. As of now, the ending feels exactly what it is. It's rushed, it clearly has a lot of footage missing from it, and quite frankly, it's a giant mess. Now, to go back to the visual effects for a moment, Something I found interesting about the Motion Pictures Director's Edition is the fact that they added new CGI effects, but wanted it to look as if it was from 1979. For the case of the director's cut to Star Trek V, I really think that the opposite needs to be achieved. They should make it look like something from 1989, but truly make it look, for lack of a better term, more in line with the modern stuff that we see today. Go all out, go balls to the wall. Now, no, I'm not saying make it look like Abrams' Trek, don't add those crazy visuals, but I'm just saying really polished CGI to give the movie the look it so deserves. And once again, I'm not saying this will fix the movie. It will always be a flawed movie, I think, but the new effects certainly wouldn't hurt. But as mentioned earlier, it is more than just the visual effects. I want to see the original intention with Sybok's dream and Spock's pain, or even the exploration of Kirk's pain. So I ask everyone again, why isn't Paramount jumping on this? They just did the motion picture. Why not give Star Trek V a shot? Shatner isn't getting any younger, Paramount. He's already 90-something years old. And I really don't see why Paramount won't do it. Is it because of some grudge that Paramount has between, themselves and Bill that we just don't know about? I really don't know. But come on. I mean, I do think Shatner deserves more respect than he actually is given when it comes to this movie. Now, while I don't think the director's cut of Star Trek V will make it a masterpiece or the best of the Star Trek films, look, in the very least, the director's cut I think would be better. It certainly can't be any worse. I'll bet if Shatner got to sit down with some true professionals and recobbled the movie together, literally scene by scene, my guess is we'd actually get a much more polished movie. In the least, the visual effects would look better, and probably the pacing and tone would be a lot more even than what we got in the actual theatrical cut. But all this is just conjecture. We really don't know. And I really would love to see a director's cut of Star Trek V regardless, and I'm hoping someday we will get that, and I'm hoping you all do as well. I hope you all are interested in a director's cut of Star Trek V. I would like to know what you guys think in the comments below. With that being said, all my social media is in the description below. Make sure to leave a comment, tell me what you think, if you're interested in seeing a Star Trek V Director's Edition. But in the end, this is Adam Noyce of And Productions saying, sayonara.